the war blog. Today I'm going to have a look at this Kandahar Road, Qalat to Safa scenario, Afghanistan, 7th of February 2021. Not played this yet, but I've been anticipating it because it's a bit odd in the sense that it's a clearance, and so what we've got is a multifaceted situation where essentially we have to keep this road clear, which is sort of verging on the sort of the concept of counterinsurgency type gaming, but it's not quite like that. But it has certain elements that are sort of conducive to that sort of consideration, so to speak. But it's in Zabul, it's on the Pakistan border. Just sort of, so Kandahar is sort of down here to the southwest. So what we've got essentially is, well, we've got two visible Taliban units. I mean, they can't really do much. It looks ominous, but I mean, firstly they have to sort of move, through these hills to get anywhere. But they're there to give the Taliban player something to do to some extent, because essentially what we've also got are, well, let's have a look down here. So there's the Afghan forces. We've got a lot of irregulars. Look at them all. There's lots of them, and some of them appear later on in the game. Now, the thing is, where are they? Well, they're hidden randomly. So they're sort of randomly along this road, but they are actually all going to be on the road. And so if I was to just drive up this road, I might run into them. So I might run into one there, and then it would stop, and there would be one appear here and there, and then they would attack me and probably lose because I'm only a 2 defense. And when you consider how many there are, I might run into here and get 2 of them or 3 of them. So what to do? Well, the whole point of that is, well, the whole point of that sort of arrangement in that context is you use your drones. But also we've also got recce units. Now, I'm not sure whether these recce units are going to work. So this is going to be a first try because I can't remember how far I got with that. But the drones work. So you've got recce and drones, and the recce is not really supposed to be used in earnest, but the drones are to some extent. So we might say, okay, well, I'm going to carry out a drone operation on Bamize. And if I put my drone into there, then I will get a determination of whether or not there are any insurgents there or around it. But if I do that, I haven't done that hex. So what we've got is a sort of not a gamble, but you've got to then start sort of considering whether you want to risk running through this hex. Now, in theory, we probably could, because if something did appear, we've got a lot of reinforcements to just move into it. But there's no guarantee that we're going to get everything that's in these hexes. Now, we might as well forget these hexes and these hexes because there's not going to be anything in there. So we're looking at this hex and these 2 outlying hexes. But the chance of finding something in this hex when your drone is looking in this hex is reduced. I think it's like 80% chance or something. Well, this is 80% chance of finding something, and this is like 70% chance. And that's also defined by and affected by terrain. Now, this is all open terrain, so it's going to be easy. But if that was jungle, you'd only have like a 30% chance of spotting an irregular. So you need a lot of drone work to be certain. So there's never going to be the certainty that you've got the units. Now, we could just move them all along one at a time and just run through everything. But the other aspect of this is the hearts and minds thing. So each of these places, and I can't quite remember how this works, has this factor, as you can see. Now, if I'm sat in there, it will be reduced. So, for example, I've got a two defensive unit there, so this is never going to go down because I'm gaining 2 points every turn. But randomly, they will lose. It will go down, and I can't remember how it works. I wonder if I wrote something about it. The rules, as if I'd know anything about the rules. I wonder if I wrote anything about it. I'm not sure I did, but I might have. Come on, stupid computer. Don't think I've written anything about it. I'll have to write it up. It won't take me long to figure it out again, but I can't remember how it works. But basically, there's a chance each turn that this will go down. So as we play this game, we'll determine what happens. And when it goes down to a certain level, then there's a chance that it will create insurgents. So if I was to go really, really slowly, the chances are, depending on how the numbers work, which I can't remember, by the time I get to Mokor or Gelan, there'll be like 5 irregulars in there. Well, there won't be that many, but there could be if I was very slow down here and got held up. So to some extent, what I want to do is to clear this road as quickly as possible so I can reduce the risk of these generating new irregular units. Because if these 3 all suddenly generated one in one turn, I could be in trouble, because then there'd be 5 on the table plus anything else that I popped up, but those 5 would be able to attack Qalat Gilze, which is really, I think, just Qalat. So anyway, I think the first thing to do maybe is to just play it. I might not play it all the way through because we've got some helicopters as well. So I'm going to sort of do what I said I was going to do. But I think in the first instance, I'm going to use my recce unit. Now, he's moving quite quickly. He's still got 3.9 movement left. So he's moved sort of two movement points. So he could move another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he could probably get to there. But the thing is, if I move that far ahead, and then I meet some units, I can't defend myself. So that's the sort of spin-off on the use of the recce units. They're very vulnerable. So I might not want to go much further than that. But what I have done, I know there's nothing in these hexes because I've just driven through them. But there might be something in this hex, but I might sort of be thinking, well, how far down am I? Now, this is based on an article from the Afghan Times, I think, and it shows pictures of some artillery. So we've got artillery being used in this effort as well. So let's just move the artillery up a little. And obviously we've got a bunch more units. So we can move quite quickly. Right, so we've spotted some Taliban. Now we've not used our recce ability yet. Now there's one thing that I have done, or haven't done, that I plan to do, and that's whenever you meet something like this, you instantly go into stop mode. You'd be minus 2.5, which would reflect the fact that you can't move anymore. You've got to deal with it. At the moment, I can move into there, but because if I move from there to there, it would count as a normal move, and then I'd be frozen because I've been entering a zone of control, but it hasn't been sort of done like that yet. So I could sort of move him. But we've got this unit here, so the question is, right, at this stage, is what to do about that unit. Now, I've done quite well up to this stage getting here, and I think I can maybe bring these to bear on this unit. I've certainly got some air support on that, but he's got 0.3 movement, so he can't move any further. These can move. Now in the first instance I want to defend that, and because of the nature of things I'm just going to put them all in there, and I'm going to bring in some helicopters on this. I'm not going to use my drone on that. Right, so I've damaged it, and so I'm going to go in for the attack. But this is only be a 3-to-1, but I pushed him back. Now I could use my drone on that, but what I want to do with my drone is, what I'm going to do a recce operation in this hex just to see what happens. Now I think he's got to be stationary, or not, maybe it's not working. Oh no. Let's reload. Click, right, so we've clicked the, because you see all these movement, these units went. So we can now do a reconnaissance move in here, but it's not allowing me to use my recce unit to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm sort of testing the game here really to some extent. It's frustrating because I know there's some work to do on this, on the recce units, but they are considered to be part and parcel of how this all works. So I'm going into recce mode. So all the enemy units move because I might want to do my recce there. I'm going to do my recce in this unit, in this hex. So I'm going to commit to recceing this unit in the hope that I'll spot anything there, there or there. And I did. Spotted something there. There might be something, so that's interesting because if I had done that extra turn into there, I would have found him. So we've got this far up the road and all of a sudden we've got a fairly sizable Taliban force on the highway, and that's pretty much the turnover. So it's quite interesting really, because if you were to consider that, and like I always quite often do, we've had a fairly significant turn of events there. You know, we've gone along the Kandahar road, which is also Highway 1. We've passed through Bamize and Somali, Somali, not Somali, not Somalia, Somali, and we've encountered some Taliban units in Somali, but we also encountered some Taliban units just to the northeast of Somali. We've engaged these ones with our relatively superior forces and pushed them back, held up here in a sort of reasonably defensive position because they won't really be able to attack us because we're over 6. We used our helicopters to ground interdict this unit before our attack, and we've used our air surveillance drones to inspect this hex, giving us view up the highway up to Khan Samalzi, which all sounds to me like quite a reasonable storyline for what might or might not have been happening in this situation. But so what we're going to do now is press the magic button. Obviously we've got some work on the recce to do, that's me. Right, okay, so what's happening here, because I'm a bit vague on what's happening, is that these units have now gone down. So these units, what it's saying is that this is in the favour of the Taliban, because they're maxed out, so they don't have to go anywhere. What we're doing is we're recovering these units. So this is all hostile terrain because they're not green, they're red, which means they're hostile. They need to be green in our favour. I only wrote the system, so you know, I mean, what what do you expect? So anyway, we're recovering these. So obviously, we want to do that as quickly as possible. Now, to some extent, what we've got here is the need to preserve our forces, but also to move quickly along this road. So we might want to say, well, we've been in here and we've done our hearts and minds things, and there is a hearts and minds, well, there's a PSYOPs counter that I've produced that could be in play that reduces this a lot faster. But they've gone down to -3, which means the chances of them producing Taliban units is reduced. But they can still do it, but it's reduced to the extent that we could almost say, well, we're better off leaving that as it is and just really making sure that at least all of these are not 5/5s or 5-5s. So, but it is the Taliban turn, so they can come out and do things. Now, what they might want to do is to, because they're going to be superior in Khan Samalzi, they might want to try and move in there because their defense will be good. So all of a sudden we've got this front line that is cut off Qalat. I'm not sure why it's Qalat al-Gilze. It should be just Qalat, but that's what it was on the map. So they're now sort of isolated. The road is cut off. So we've got this concept of a battle here. So we're going to have to sort of somehow attend to this unit. But the Taliban have also got these 2 units. Now there's no reason to move up to here. We might as well try and bring them down to join this lot as soon as possible, if possible. And the quickest way to do that will probably be to somehow go through here to get into Den Afghan, and similarly this way. So it's 2 moves through the hills, and that's that. Now let's just watch this highway, see whether any more Taliban units are produced, bearing in mind that I'm not really certain about the balance of how any of this is going to work. That's why it's quite an interesting game for me. I mean, when I say sort of interesting game, I mean I'm done. It's from a development perspective. The thing with these sorts of games is that they do actually become almost fully fledged solo play games that you can play on your own because you don't know what's going to happen. They're not quite like that because you've still got to play the Taliban player, but each game would be different because you don't know where they're going to be because they are randomly placed. And it could be that the Taliban will completely overwhelm the Afghan forces. What I do know is the Afghan forces can't afford to lose anything, so they've got to keep together and hopefully use their artillery and their air support and even their drones to take out these ground units. So it could be quite a long game, but I think if you were to be quite slow, if you just stack all this stuff up in one, you can't because it's 5, but keep them as they are or somehow redistribute them. It'll be quite tight. They've just got to survive, that's all. Oh, I'm pretty sure. Oh, maybe not. I think they get some reinforcements on. Let's see. Yes. And they need those reinforcements. The Taliban don't seem to have generated any fresh recruits. Now, it's not supposed to be that quick. It's a hearts and minds thing, but I seem to recall from the other scenario that although it's not rapid, it does build up. Let's see. So the Afghan forces, now they've really got to somehow maybe get rid of this. Our artillery's not in range yet. We definitely want to be holding in Qalat, moving our artillery forward. But let's see what our helicopters can do against this. Okay. And should we use our drones against it as well? forward 1. See how far I can get this artillery forward. Artillery can't move any further forward. Put the mechanised in there. So it gives us a nice stack of 8 in defence, this behind. And let's use our drone. So we used our drone to spot something before, and we spotted something, we did it there. So we've sort of checked this hex. Although it sounds ironic, we might as well check this hex here as well. So nothing. Okay, that's that. So the Taliban player, you can't really attack that because it's too much, there's 8, but we sort of want to hold here, and we possibly want to produce our forces a little closer, but we've got the option to attack Qalat, but in the first instance we might want to better off going that way. Okay, so that's their turn. They don't have any rockets. They're more reinforcements. So we've now got we've got to clear this road, clear that unit, but we've got some artillery here, so we might as well use that. Now they've recovered, so they'll be down to 0 and 1.95. Not a lot, but we've got helicopters. Okay, now the thing with the drones, if I spot something, and I've tried there, if I try here, if I spot something, all it does is make it active. So I might be better off trying to use my drones in an assault use here. Right, so they're now reduced down to 2.9, 1.4, but I don't want to attack them yet because I don't think I've got the numbers really. Although I might move up. Because that gives me the option next turn for flanking them and doing a grand assault against them. So no change on the generating units front. What we can do though, I seldom do this with irregulars, we can do an attrition, which was unsuccessful. So no other, oh, this is a reinforcement. So he's just appeared there. Right, so we really want to actually grow some balls, I think, and attack this unit, this position, so that we can start to clear Samalze without them becoming super entrenched. And we are here on offensive operations, so I think in the first instance we'll carry out an artillery bombardment. Not brilliant, but it all adds up. A helicopter strike, and let's use the drones as well. So all fairly small, but it adds up to 3.3, 2.75. I'd like to keep the stacks up, so we'll move this stack here. No, let's go around this way. No, I didn't want to do that. Okay, well, we'll just have to face the fact that we're down a unit. Fingers crossed, because the odds are not going to be brilliant. 2-1 DR. I think they were doubled. Or trebled. I think they were trebled up to 6 and then down because of their depressions. So, but this means that we need to move in and push this assault. Now they're not going to have any defences, so we could split our forces into two. Let's just reload that and we'll look at what we've got. So we've got a total of 1, 4, 5, 6. So we could have basically 3 and 3, so that'd be 3-1, possibly 4 or 5-1. We definitely hit them both. Five to 1, so that's pushed him back. We should get a mechanized bonus on this as well. 4-1. Can we pursue him? Yes. Come on. Maybe he's... seems to have moved something. Okay, so we're continuing to demonstrate our superiority, but we can't afford to lose anything at all. Now that's a weak stack. They might attack it, but that would mean that they would be coming down here, and they probably can't afford that. So I think we could safely say that we've given the Taliban a black eye. And cleared some of this road. Yes, let's leave it at that. The Taliban haven't had any reinforcements from any of these places yet, so see how that works. But this was a reinforcement from the schedule, I think. So they're going to come down. But I think the thing to do here really is to somehow retreat these units back as far as they can. That's that. So he probably went a bit too far. We should have maybe get those together and bring him up to Maskahel Calais. This sort of large Afghan security force clears the road. So far so good in the sort of like maintaining my interest front. I think the jury's still out on the sort of sensibilities of it all, with the consideration that the recce units can't recce. I can't even remember what my intention was, because unlike the drones, they sort of appear to want to sort of move into a place, but anyway, get to that. Okay, he's appeared. Now, I think that what happened was an error, because there was a screen flicker when I moved into Can Samalze, but I didn't know what it was. Now, that screen flicker was because there was a hidden unit in there, but he was not due on until turn 5. So he became apparent but was invisible because it was before turn 5. So I'm going to have to pick that issue up. But he has appeared in probably the worst place you could probably imagine he should appear at this particular moment, because he's on his own, surrounded by the entire Afghan security forces, which have not really been damaged in any way. Now, we wouldn't mind reinforcing Qalat because they could attack next turn, possibly. But it's the Afghan turn. Taking this unit out would be useful. I think we'll try and make things. Well, no, I think we'll use the artillery for movement, but he's got 36 sorties left and he's got 58, so we're not running low on air power. So we might as well. He's at a 1. Could go for a 6-to-1 using this stack and then shuffle everything else around. But we'll only get 1 attack. What would be nice would be to sort of have multiple attacks. So possibly that would be a 2. We could possibly get a 3-to-1 there, leaving us free to maneuver these and follow them up. So I think I'm going to do this, but I'm actually going to attack him with my helicopters. Actually, I could have gone after this one with helicopter, because he would have maybe done a morale check and routed. Because remember, the morale check things are different now. So much so that I think I might actually pursue him with my drones whilst I think of it. 0.9, but he didn't rout or anything. So here, I'm going to do my 3-to-1 and a DR, thankfully, because you can get crappy results on a 3-to-1. Still got movement, so I'll go for it. Trying to chase him up. Got him again. But I'm out of movement. Why is he? He seems to be a bit slower than everyone else. I know he moved 1 extra move. They're not going to go anywhere else, so we've got the option now to sort of follow with these units, which I think I will. So let's push him in the forefront. That'll be another 3-to-1, but now he's so depressed, it'll be probably a 4-to-1. Oh, that was not what I wanted. I was trying to be economic. I was trying to optimize my capabilities, but that really didn't need an exchange there. So there we sort of just was under some bad local command. Obviously the guy in charge of that unit wasn't very good. Probably half of his armoured vehicles drove off into a ditch. That's probably what happened. There's 3 of them upside down and the Taliban are laughing their socks off. But we can still possibly try the same odds again. Madness is doing the same thing again and again, I think. Yes, but we win this time, pushing them back. Again, they're onto a 3.9. We can push and go forward on that. If we move there, we might be open to an attack, but we're all open to attack anyway. Do we want to push them though? I think we do, really, because we want to be pushing these fatigues right up. Even to the extent that it might be worth committing some artillery onto them. Or not. But their defence will be 6. Yeah, I'm going to leave them as they are because I don't want to. I've got to really be careful about protecting the integrity of all of these units, really. Now, do I want to move anything into there? Could possibly get him into there. But I can't move through that stack, so I'm stuck. Right, so that's the end of that turn. Another interesting turn. And again, nothing has come of the hearts and minds thing. Yeah, so we always got to sort of wonder whether or not it's actually working. But it's not designed to be that sort of productive, because otherwise it gets a bit insane. I mean, essentially in 4 turns, 5 turns, however you want to look at it, they've not produced anything. So, let's see. Bearing in mind, I can't remember how it works. Might not set it up properly. Right, so the Taliban are now, we've obviously got a nice little front line there, but it's not really a front line here. Bearing in mind that we've got the ability to recover, so it might be worth either leaving him there to recover 1, because he can recover down to about 2 now. I have changed the recovery so that things like armour, mechanised artillery, rockets, they can't recover as fully as infantry under the recovery and regrouping rules. I won't go into too much of that now, but so it might be worth having them. I don't want to do too much thinking because let's use white, because there's a lot of thinking that could possibly be done here. But for example, with these units, I could push them back into the hills, and with these units I could push them back into these hills. I could maybe regroup him there, form a line there, form a line there, and whenever these units pass through, I could either come back down to Bamizeh, through up there. You know, there's no point in sitting there and confronting them as the Taliban in a front line like that. There's not really any point in doing that because I'm going to lose. But if we were to bring them back, recover them, preserve them, there might be more that they can do. So what I'm going to do, Alternatively, we could attack Qalat, but the thing is, if we could get in there, that would be really nice. But I don't think we can. But it's an all or nothing, really. Let's just see what we can do. We win the Battle of Qalat, but can we get in there? No. I was mistaking his depressions for movement. We got no movement. We can't get in there. That was probably a bad move now, because now we've not retreated. We've won this battle to some extent, but we can't get in there, because if we could get in there, we get massive defensive bonuses. That was such a shame. That was probably a bad move. Still no more reinforcements, it appears, so we've got to basically get back in there and reinforce it at the very least. So let's attack, not him, he's on 3.7. Let's push this attack onto him, free these up. Oh, 12, but it's still a DR, allowing us to completely stuff Qalat full of Afghan motorized elements. And we can utilize what we've got there for an assault down here on this pretty much half strength unit, so it's worth half. 2, 3, 4, compression 2. Let's try it with 2, because this should be about 4 to 1. So 4 to 1 and DE, so we eliminated that unit, which was a good use of units. Here, I'll try the same tactic again, and a DR, pushing him away, allowing us now to consolidate everything else against this unit. Oh, an exchange. Okay, so the battle rages on. We've got artillery, which we should use. I think we can use it against that. Could be very careful about where it ends up. No damage, no morale check. Oh, an exchange. No, didn't need that. So there is truly a lot of firefighting going on in this security operation, and we push them back, so we can again maybe try our luck here. And we won there. No more movements though. And we should really protect this artillery like this. So that's the end of that. Oh, well, we've still got some air units. So what's vulnerable? 5.7, 1, 6.3, Okay, seems that this is the way to do it. And let's use our drones as well. Oh, quarter strength, but we didn't lose it. We don't want to lose the drone. So that's the situation. So the Taliban have now lost a unit. Or did they lose 2? Right, they're definitely going to pull out. Because I know I should have done that last time. No reinforcements. So the pace of the game is clearly going to change now. So the Afghan forces can say, well, obviously they're in theory superiorly have superior numeracy, but so far they this guy seems to have appeared. So that's interesting. But they've done it relatively without casualties, although they have had some exchanges. So he's at 2. So we've lost quite a few mechanized units. This motorized unit has taken a bit of a pounding. So have these. So we can recover, but this would be sort of almost a pause. So we've moved up through Bamize, Somali, Samalze, and into Qalat Gilze, or Qalat, successfully. So taking out and securing this highway is not completely simple. We've not seen any of these hearts and minds stuff, but we know that we've achieved that down here. So let's go for... Oh, is it their turn? Have they done anything? Well, again, I think what we're going to do is... Well, I want to recover slightly, but I want to move forward into Kele Hadje. So I think I can get the best of both worlds and maybe take a small chance. Oops. And let's put some artillery onto this unit. Oh, we've moved, haven't we? So we can't. But we can get some air power onto it. Do I want to use drones? And let's attack it. Why not? Oh, that's why not an exchange. We can't keep getting exchanges when we should be recovering. So that's the Afghan player's move. Still no units. Okay, what's he going to do? Well, he's obviously going to try and harass Somali, because he can. I think what we're going to do here is pull back. Now he can recover there. Need to pull him back. He's fresh, so he can go there. And he's fresh, so he can go maybe to there. So that's our setup at this moment. So they're trying to sort of regroup, but that's maybe not the best place to have done that. So still no unit, so I'll have to sit here and maybe just click through it and see whether it's actually doing anything. Right, so what do we want to do? Well, we've got a bit of a surprise before, so I'm going to use my drones for spotting, which is what they're there for. Come on. In theory, it's still thinking. We found something. So there is actually units. There are actually units in Mushak al-Khalay, Taliban units, entrenched. So we've got a bit of forewarning on that. We're going to just sit there with everything to recover. The artillery, which is in there, doesn't need to recover. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to use him on this conveniently concentrated form of Taliban units, doing a nice little range of damage there. Thank you very much. Also put in our helicopters on that. That will teach them for hanging around in the same place without as much success, but that was probably deadly. But we haven't been able to do anything about Somali. So still move your way along here. Right, well, they're going to have to split up, but we're going to might as well hold there because we're dug in. But we're going to move into, or we could move into Bamize, because then it will be easier to do. So Bamize is now at -4. So they've all sort of split up. But obviously we want to take out next Mushak al-Khalay. We've only got 7 minutes left, so I'm probably not going to do much more than this. In fact, I'm going to leave it at that because I know that I really want to recover these units. Because he's at 3. If he gets much more, he won't be able to recover back down to 0, but I can recover everything down to 0. So we could say that that's almost a pause for both players to recover, because both the Taliban's going to recover as well. And because we've only got 7 minutes left, and because I sort of want to figure out whether anything actually appears, I'm just going to sit here now and consider the game over at this stage. Because I've been doing a video and it's only an hour long. I mean, in theory I could continue playing, but I don't want to do that. But we're just going to see what happens with these hearts and minds markers, see whether I've messed it up or if it just takes a little bit more time. It's not supposed to be really intense because otherwise the game balance gets offset, but it could be that I messed up. So I'm just going to clear it going through the turns. So everything will start to entrench and recover, so we can see how that works as well. Oh, there you go. You see him? He appeared. So it does work. He's now recovered that, as you can see. Back to Bamize. So this is the problem with the hearts and minds, you see. So we know that it works. And we know that doing an operation like this, I get quite excited really, because it's sort of, I mean, it's not a simulation and a perfect model, but it's sort of getting there in the sense that you can sense that they can pass through these places. But as soon as they leave them, the Taliban go back in, they convert them from the zero, which is the sort of like they've been converted to Afghan way of thinking, or they're more loyal. Usually, quite often, the way they do that is not by teaching them anything; they just give them big wads of cash. They give them things that they want, property rights or things like this. Things that are semi-conditional on the Afghan government maybe, but also things like big wads of cash. That's what the Americans were doing. With the promise of more when they next came round, if there'd not been any trouble, when they buy them out. I can often see that being far more effective than just smiling at them and giving them chewing gum. But as you can see, as this we can maintain our own, we can hold our own, especially if we recover. So they're now at 1 depression, 0. How's that mechanized unit? Where's he? He's at 0, so he's recovered fully. So the whole forces have recovered fully, mostly, apart from that one unit who probably just needs another turn. But so presumably these guys, he's at 0 now, 1.15, 0, 0.1, 4.9, 2.7. So this one probably will not be able to recover fully to any major extent. So let's just do this a few more times. Oh, look at that. 2 of them appeared. So all of a sudden it's sort of like, this is interesting. So it's quite well balanced, I think, because it felt as though it wasn't happening, but obviously it can happen, and it can happen quite quickly because we had 2 appear in one turn, and it's not a cumulative thing. So we obviously had a good run, so it does work, and we were saying, well, this is quite good. But now all of a sudden we're in the middle of the Kandahar road with Taliban behind us, Taliban in front of us, and Taliban sort of like to the north of us. The only thing we've not got is them down on this side. But you can almost imagine them being, quite concerned about the arrangement. Obviously, they're a powerhouse driving through along this highway that can manage and take care of themselves. They can take the hearts and minds in the right direction, but they can't force it. And as soon as they leave, they're just going to come back out and take them. So I think it's going to be quite interesting like that. It's almost everything I imagined it would be. And there are a few more scenarios. There's quite a few of them. There's a couple in Iran. I was trying to say Iraq and change it to Syria, and it came out Iran. In Syria, there's a few where the US are moving their convoys along, and so are the Syrians, and I think the Turks. And there's a lot of this, through south of Idlib, where they've secured the corridor and they're guarding these convoys and things. And that's exactly what the other Central African Republic scenario is all about. And I think that it's another aspect of analysing things that are not major conflicts, in the sense that they're major operations, more involved with the application and sort of use of the, I don't like to use the word, but the coin counterinsurgency type processes, using hearts and minds, using drones to spot these units and things of that nature. But what I'm saying in a nutshell, I might be doing a few more of these when the news items come up, because I think they're quite effective as little gamelets and give you a bit of an understanding of something, and also work, in the game way. So anyway, I've got 40 seconds left, so I'll leave it at that. I don't know what happens if you go over 60 minutes on YouTube, whether it just doesn't upload, but I'm not going to give it that chance. So I'll speak to you later. Cheerio.